Welcome to Open Mic. I'm your host, Lavaria Slaughter, and on today's show, we are sitting down talking with Dr. Loretta Faith Harris, who is the author of The Journey Less Traveled. Choose to turn your tragedy into triumph. Today, we will be discussing the tragic past that claimed the life of one other person and left her fighting for her life. This is Open Mic. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Hi, thank you.
So, Doctor, tell us a little bit about Dr. Loretta Harris.
Okay, well, I am a doctor of education. Most importantly, my name Faith stands for a person who has had to persevere through a lot of obstacles in life. And my mother named me Faith, and it became just an overtone of just life's occurrences. I'm from a small town called Pahokee, Florida. From there, I've lived in Central Florida for the past 14 years to pursue my education. I am a dedicated teacher. I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn, love to educate others, love to empower people. I am a life coach, motivational speaker, just someone who loves and very, very, very passionate about life and helping others.
Okay. Okay, so Doctor, I understand that you have this new book that has been out for a couple of years now, The Journey Less Traveled.
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit of information about this book?
The Journey Less Traveled, Choose to Turn Your Tragedy into Triumph is my personal memoir, and it talks about my story of adversity, overcoming death-defying odds. And the person you see today was not the same person 6 years ago. It highlights my encounter with death, and this was a tragic car accident that happened right here in Central Florida that tried to claim my personal life, but also unfortunately claimed the life of another individual. I go from chapter 1, the day of the accident, all the way to chapter 13 that talks about eyewitness accounts of people who was there with me throughout the accident for the one complete year of my life, how I went from tragedy and eventually came to my triumph and where I am today.
Okay, so what inspired you to write this story?
Well, actually, during this time, 2006, when this happened in May, I was in a medically induced coma. At that time, I was airlifted from the scene of the car accident to ORMC, intermittently in and out of consciousness. I passed through death 3 times and came back.
So you've actually
Passed and died, experienced death firsthand.
Okay, how was that experience?
That experience I talk about in my book.
Okay.
And I talk about,
okay.
I'll share a little with you. I talk about the great white light. You ever heard people talk about this bright light?
All the time.
This is true. Indeed, this is true. And this bright light, I was encompassed around this light, and I was elevated on this table. And there was a spirit, a God. God was over me. No color, no complexion, no color that we've seen here on earth. I couldn't describe the color to you, but his hands alone is what I witnessed extended over me. And this luminous white he was wearing, he was surrounded with, I was elevated above, and as I saw his hands extended, I started pointing to him areas of my body that were aching. And as I pointed to him suspended in the air, not anything underneath me, he just released me. And what happened is after I came out of my coma, I was in a coma for over a month, my sisters shared with me because I said, I had this experience, this vision, I was in heaven, and God, I told God what happened to me. And she said, actually, the paramedics told her that at the scene of the accident is when I crossed over, but when they resuscitated me, I came back in a state of shock. And in that state of shock, I pointed to them my broken bones and limbs, and then I went out. So it was actually at that scene of the accident that I believed that God said, it's not your time to die, and I'm going to give you a second chance, and you're going to come back to this earth to fulfill your purpose and destiny. So I talk about that in my book. I've had that experience before, and one I will never forget, and it has changed my life completely.
Okay. Well, take me back to the day on May 24th, 2006, which is 6 years ago now.
Yes.
Take me back to that day. What exactly, how did all of it happen?
Okay. Actually, as I shared, I've been a public school teacher for 8 years. At that time, I was teaching at my first job assignment, Carver Middle School, right here in Orlando, Florida. And we were, and when I say we, myself, a few teachers and 2 students were returning from lunch. And this lunch was a treat to reward the students for their good behavior. So on our way back to campus. We were no more than 2 miles away from school. On our way back to campus, just 1 block away from the school, is when this individual at the time was fleeing the police pursuit. And that's how it's described in the allegations and whatnot on that particular day. Thursday, 3 o'clock, it was described that he was pursued and was fleeing. So in his fleeing, there were individuals in the road that I was on. This was Kirkman and Raleigh, and so he ran into me. I have no recollection of the car accident. I do not remember. The only thing I remember is buckling my car seat and leaving and making sure, seat belt, excuse me, and making sure that my passengers were buckled up too. And after that, that's just when he hit my car head on, a heavy body car he carried, and I had my little green Honda, 97 Honda Civic, my first Honda, he took away from me. But anyhow, that happened on that Thursday at 3 o'clock, and then police report stated that it was a cop there who was able to tend to me. Paramedics were there on the scene. So that's the day of the accident, which I have no recollection of. Over 6 weeks was totally wiped out of my memory. And chapter 1, when it introduces the day of the accident, that is me going in and interviewing and talking to everybody that I was able to speak to of their firsthand account, eyewitness account of what happened. So you have stories from my mom in Palm Beach County. You have stories about my pastor in Orlando. You have stories about my friend who was coming into their living room and seated, turned on the television and saw my car, and they knew they had to go to ORMC. So I get firsthand accounts from everyone that was connected with that car accident, and I talk about that, which was the hardest chapter to compose because I wasn't a part of it, but everything is thread together. So on that day, after being airlifted and taken to the hospital, died 3 times, had over 12 surgeries, on life support. Doctors pretty much gave up on me the night of the accident, and they informed, actually the chapel informed, and I talk about that, my parents that she will die tonight. She's suffering from internal bleeding. She's suffering from broken bones. She's suffering from collapsed lungs, ruptured bladder. It's no way that internal bleeding, we cannot repair this young lady. We've never seen a car accident so severe, so go ahead and prepare for her funeral arrangements. So that is the day of the accident. But my family is a very praying family. We are rooted in our belief in God and His ability to heal and His ability to still work miracles. And today, ORMC, whenever I visit there, because I currently volunteer there, they dub me Faith.
Wow.
They dub my name as Faith. They either call me Faith or Miracle, because those associated and know my story, firsthand witness, they knew it was just God Himself. My doctors, at the end of the day, told my parents, the God that you pray to, He's real, and I have witnessed this, and I am a believer.
Wow.
So that's what my faith and experience has done, not only for myself, but for other people. But that's the day of the accident.
We actually have a picture of the car. Can you guys show the picture?
Wow. Yes.
Wow. I mean, the car is complete. I mean, like you said, it's God Himself that could bring you out of something like that.
Yes, yes. They had to take me out with the jaws of life. It completely compacted, and it split in half. And I have individuals too who saw the car passing by, and they told me personally that they said whoever's in that car did not survive. Wow. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was.
Whenever you look at that picture, does it do something to you?
A few years ago, yes. A few years ago, I could not sit here and talk about this accident at all. But going through what I call the healing process, going through coming to terms and grips with what actually happened in my life, talking about it. I actually talk about 7 steps to overcoming tragedy and adversity, and I really had to face what happened to me. I was in a bit of denial. I thought I was in the worst nightmare that I could have ever been in, so yes.
Wow, wow. Great story. We got to take a quick break. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to talk more about Dr. Faith and the man who actually almost claimed her life. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.